Hello, all you righteous dudes and bodacious babes out there. It's 1983, and besides some pretty ridiculous hairstyles and stupid slang, there's quite a lot happening in the world. In the world of video games, there's something really, really important that happens in 1983, but to set that up, we need to look at console games. Console games in the early 80s was a booming business. From 1979 to 1983, Fairchild, Bally, Mattel, Magnavox, Atari, and a few other companies had consoles on the market. Most of these consoles were doing very well. Very, very well. In fact, just 4 years after the console boom started, the industry had grown to a cash cow of $3.2 billion. As you can imagine, that size of a market drew in everyone, with just a little programming knowledge and a bank willing to keep lending cash. In 1979, some pissed-off programmers from Atari, owned by Warner Communications, angered that they weren't being given credit in the game credits for actually making these games, started Activision, the first third-party developer of games for the glut of consoles that were on the market. After Activision came a slew of companies trying to cash in on the trend, including, of all corporations, Quaker Oats?
Quaker oatmeal comes in flavors so good that you know what we're gonna do, Timmy?
We're gonna make video games. So many people were pumping out games for these consoles that quality control just couldn't keep up. Third-party developers glutted the market with low-effort, quickly produced, and sometimes completely untested games. By contrast, while the PC games of 1983 were still terrible overall, the number of playable, fun, and interesting games on the PC was rising. Consumers began to shy away from console game purchases until they heard from trusted sources that they weren't steaming piles of garbage, and thus snowballed the video game crash of 1983. So many factors conspired to cause the crash that you can't blame just one event, no matter how huge a failure it was. Atari's terrible port of Pac-Man, along with the infamous E.T., which you are watching now, were among the millions of unsold cartridges being returned. The millions of unsold cartridges being returned to Atari were tough for Atari, but nothing they couldn't deal with by restructuring, making deals with larger companies, and eventually pulling out in the black. No, millions of unsold cartridges being returned to the no-name third-party developers who had basically used all their money to make the games in the first place, that really hurt the console market. These companies had no money to refund back to retailers, who in turn got pretty steamed at the console market in general, and decided to further reduce shelf space. In fact, if you've ever wondered, one of the reasons Nintendo is called an entertainment system, not a gaming system, is because it was one of the ways Nintendo was able to convince the once-burned, twice-shy retailers to allow the product back in their stores. Anyway, now that we can take a shower and wash all of that console stink off of us, we can return to our beautiful PC games of 1980. Oh, are you kidding me? Really? This crap again? No. I promised I'd be more upbeat and positive and try to keep a 1980s mindset as I examine these old gems. Well, first let me say that I can in no way play all the PC games of 1983 in one video. That would take until 2017, and no one wants to wait that long. So I am just going to edit together what games I can per episode and go from there. While this is not going to be exhaustive, I think I'm going to cover a majority of the games from each year. Now, for the first game, we have an amazing game called Three Demon. The genius of this game is that it is Pac-Man, from the perspective of Sir Edward Pac-Man himself. Being first-person view is very disorienting, and adds to the pure panic this game induces as you flee your ghosty nemesis. Nemesis? Whatever. There are multiple levels of the game, which you can teleport to immediately once you've completed 50% of the level that you are on. However, unless you complete 100% of a level, you get awarded 0 points. So escaping to the next level is really just a last-ditch way to get out of a deadly situation. Also, if you score enough points, you start getting lives back to help you on your quest to get through all 9 levels of increasing speed. Overall, it is a fun game with a great concept. The next program I found was Adventure Writer, which is one of the earliest world editors / video game creators I've run across. Not much to see here. I just thought it was cool that someone made a text-based adventure creation utility so early in DOS game history. Adventures in Math is an educational game that is actually pretty fun. You traverse through various sized castles, answering math questions in order to score points, open doors to progress, and ultimately to win the game. Simple, straightforward, and fun. Just what kids of 1983 wanted from a computer game. Okay, maybe not. If having fun with math isn't your thing, then next we have Afghanistan, a turn-based mess. You know what? No, never mind. No one ever liked this. This is terrible. Air Tracks is more like it. Air Tracks allows you to enter commands to virtual airplanes, just like real air traffic controllers. No, seriously, just like real air traffic controllers. I think the problem with this game was the harsh reality of it all. The commands are very difficult to remember, the game is slow to respond with far too much to keep track of, and you get paid nothing to do the hardest, most critical task in the world, with hundreds of lives hanging in the balance. Dear goodness, I hope air traffic controllers make more than that. Perhaps to take your mind off the several planes you just let crash into the wilderness, no doubt killing everyone on board, you can play a little Amazing Maze. This reflex testing classic, is all about solving the maze with your little round player without touching the walls. It's definitely difficult, which is all you truly need from a game this simple. It's engaging, easy to learn, difficult to master, and so earns a place on the meh list of 1983. Competing for a spot on that list is an ASCII game with an expectation-inspiring name of Mario Brothers. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that says Ario Brothers. Ooh. I'm still unsure what the point of this game is, how to play, what each symbol means, what the noises mean, but hey, it's definitely a direct knockoff of good old Mario Brothers. Look out, Nintendo! David Tretter's gunning for ya! Attack on Altair has apparently died. There's no bringing it back. But it sure is fun to listen to that sound, eh? B-1 Nuclear Bomber is garbage, as is Battle for Normandy, and they are both broken as crap. Finally, we have some real gems of the year, and definitely two of the best from this episode. First is Battlezone, an FPS that is loads of fun as you careen out of control in your tank, shooting at other tanks that come out of nowhere. It's non-stop shoot till your windshield breaks from one of the million shells flying from out of nowhere. The commands are simple enough, but this game features something I've yet to see from this time period. Key mapping! Yes, you can set the controls for this fine shoot-'em-up, and that earns a place in the Hall of Fame, in my humble opinion. Finally, this episode, we have Beneath Apple Manor, a truly fine piece of gaming history that actually came out before Rogue, but didn't have the catchy name. I mean, when I say roguelike, everyone knows what I mean, and it sounds good. Neath the Apple Manor-like, it just doesn't roll off the tongue, you know? Beneath Apple Manor is a roguelike game, and it's a true joy to play. You have classic combat, skills, abilities, armor, weapons, and chests to open. The whole 9 yards. It's easy at first, but gets very challenging quickly, especially if you rush through levels without squeezing every drop of sweet, sweet experience pointage from each level to level up your abilities. I played for another hour or so without capturing footage, and it was really a fun game to play. I highly recommend it. Well, that wraps it up for this episode. I hope you enjoyed seeing some games from '83 and hopefully being introduced to some video game history with the video game crash of 1983. Next time, we'll stay in 1983 and look at some technology advancements as well as more games, so stay tuned! Until next time, thank you for watching. Leave a comment if you so desire, share with your nostalgia-hungry friends, and remember to hit that like button if you enjoyed it. Have fun gaming! Bye-bye!